My name is Christopher Valentin Neves. Yes, I am Portuguese, Cape Verdean, but I am born in Park Slope, Brooklyn. Well, I was raised from a very big family, but at times it was like a skeleton staff. I'm grateful for my grandparents and my aunts and uncles because the reason why I did this comic book, and I'm going to be honest, my stepfather was a very terrible man. He had 5 other children besides me, and of course they all walked. They all was quote unquote perfect. Oh, he could never make a disabled child. I'm going to show people that I was put on this earth for a reason, which is why I miss my grandfather and grandmother tremendously. I had to move out and get my own apartment, which PCCS helped me. And going back to that, I'm grateful for my grandparents. They made me the person I am today. I made up a mock-up of different comic books featuring my grandparents. Of course, my uncle kind of got a kick out of that, my Uncle Val. He goes, yeah, I like how you put me in a comic. You're very talented, but you have me like the freaking sidekick. I said, well, you are the freaking sidekick. This is a New York comic book. That's why I always mention in my comics that I'm from 2 boroughs. I'm from Park Slope and I'm from Staten Island. Very important to me. This has been a passion project of mine for a good 4 years. Since I saw the No Way Home of Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Tobey was my Spider-Man. I like all the Spider-Mans, but just having all 3 of those guys together, it kind of brought a tear to my eye. I was like, yo, I gotta do a comic. Well, he's a typical New York guy. Most people, when they become a character, they don't live them true selves. I'm me always. He eats pizza, he likes action figures, he plays video games, he works out. It's not too far from my regular everyday life. His spirituality is good. He doesn't mistake the fact that he is human, and he's still in it for the fight. Tomorrow you live to fight another day, if you can. And that's basically it, but at the same time, the character is funny. His origin arc, something happens that they give him robot legs so he could walk. And I don't have that luxury, but I figured it would be cool if he had that luxury. Villains, the first thing they go for is the robot legs. And then I have this other character that I made. He's called Ahab, and he's on the cover with me. When I was in rehab, me and the aides that were washing me up and taking care of me was a guy that I knew from outside of rehab. And he was like, oh, Chris, I can't believe you're here. So one day, we were just moving around, and he had a lollipop in his mouth. And he was like, imagine if there was like this superhero. He was a little kid, and he licked this ancient lollipop, and he became like this big He-Man looking type of dude. There was this lady, we kind of got used to her little phrase that she would say. She would say, Ahab, Ahab, Ahab. So then one of the guys was like, yo, let's call this character Ahab. These comics, first of all, I'm glad I got to do it, and I'm blessed that I got to do it. I'm still trying to pinch myself. What I do in my comic books is like me living out certain things. One of my inspirations for this was the 1988 film Roger Rabbit. That all shaped me from why I'm doing this. My bucket list is I want to be in a movie. You know why I'm so into this, right? I'm a big wrestling fan. Like, I will always love Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, like Edge, Kenny Omega, AJ Styles. I give props to John Cena. For me, I think that nobody's perfect. Everybody deserves a second chance. The emblem, the dream that I have came up with back in the day when wrestling was, you had different kind of characters. You had hog farmers, you had clowns, you had surfer dudes like Hulk Hogan. you had muscle-bound guys, you had pretty boy guys like Shawn Michaels, you had all this kind of stuff. I said to myself, what would be my character? What represents me? And I just thought about never giving up, the fact that I strived for everything, the fact that I always lived out my dreams. The world is still very ignorant. When you come up from special ed and stuff like that and you're put in a box, so to speak, you want to break out of that box and you want to say, hey, I want to be Chris. Enough about the chair. It's not a mutation. It didn't grow out of me. And you can't just put everybody in every category. Because I'm a quadriplegic and they look at me laying in bed and I need somebody to physically get me out of bed, wash me up, get me in the bathroom. If I can get some sort of a status and it could help me, never for greed, it will show that I am somebody. Because I come from a family where everybody walks. If I could do something like this, it will kind of seal my legacy. I do feel alone and my family's getting older and everybody's dying and I'm scared what's gonna happen to my future. But when it comes to my comic book, I hope this comic is a success so I could have something to take care of myself, because right now people are putting in my head that I am useless and that I will wind up property of the government or I wind up in a nursing home. I don't want that to happen. I want to die happy with a smile in my own bed. I don't want to be the richest man in the world, but I at least want to be comfortable. So I beg of you guys, get more involved. As much as we make 1,000,000 steps forward, we make 10 steps back, and it's turning into Willowbrook again. So please, I urge everybody, get on this. I do want it to continue because this is my legacy. I do want something in this life to live on. All my life I spent looking for heroes, legends, and myths and all that kind of stuff. But what happens, right, when you become a legend yourself? You can find me at Christopher.Neves on Instagram or Christopher Neves on Facebook. Email is neves.christopher@yahoo.com. There'll be more stories of Chris Neves in the cartoon world and Ahab.